Good morning, friends. Welcome to the Block Thrasher Morning Brew. Reviewing of today's hottest cryptocurrency news, and today we're going to throw in a little bit of other news as well. It's time to panic! Panic, everyone! Listen, it's time to panic. There's a lot of panic and a lot of pain out there in the market right now. Wow, last night, watching things as they went down. Cryptocurrency market absolutely getting crushed. Total crypto market cap down by 5.6%. Down to 1.24. $1.24 trillion. Bitcoin down 10.5%. The crypto market is down. Inflation is up, especially food price inflation. There are worrying, troubling, negative signs surrounding the housing market, the forward-looking housing market. Regulators, especially Yellen Fud again, saying that stablecoins need to be regulated quickly. If you've ever noticed, anytime someone in government wants to pass regulation without it being carefully reviewed, it has to be done quickly. It's urgent. We have a crisis. This needs to be done quickly. Never mind taking time to thoughtfully, carefully, think through it. Why the panic? Well, I think I found the reason, friends. This coming from Zero Hedge today. Taco Bell and Starbucks warn about shortages. Supply chain problems continue to plague the restaurant industry, leading big chains Taco Bell and Starbucks to warn consumers on Monday some items may not be available. I tell you what, now we've got serious crisis on our hands. People can't get their morning brew, their latte, their chai tea latte, or their whatever it is, white mocha. Starbucks told customers on its app that due to supply shortages, some items are temporarily unavailable. This is happening all over the place, especially within the supply chain for restaurants. But even in the grocery stores, it's just anecdotal, but I've noticed certain things just aren't there. If they are, there isn't much. That echoed warnings that have persisted at the chain's locations for months. Consumers have complained on social media channels about periodic shortages of items such as green tea. At Taco Bell, customers are complaining about a lack of hot sauce. Oh no! Give me my hot sauce! Where's my hot sauce? The Mexican fast food chain's website warns customers that not all items are available at the moment. What are we gonna do? Why? This is Taco Bell's response. They're blaming transportation problems. Due to national transportation delays happening throughout most of the industry, we may be temporarily out of some items, the company said in a statement. Apologies for the inconvenience, and we hope to feed fans. Current Taco Bell cravings again soon. Taco Bell needs their hot sauce, because without Taco Bell's hot sauce, nobody's going to want to eat that nasty tasting food. All right, let's get back to the market. Maybe we get a little bit more serious here. Bitcoin just got crushed, pushed below the $30,000 support level that everybody was watching so intensely. Many analysts thinking that if it got pushed below that $30,000 resistance level, that it was going to go down a lot further. Well, so far this morning, that has not happened. It seems as though the downward spiral has sort of come to a stop and paused. It is down 10.5% on the week, but just 3.2% in the last 24 hours, 0.2% in the last hour. If you look at the chart, you can see that precipitous just drop that happened last night, probably around 9, 10 o'clock maybe, depending on where you're located. I'm talking about where I am here in General Mountain Time. So maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Yeah. Now, though, it's just moving sideways. Ethereum Ethereum getting hit hard as well, down 13.9% to 1,758. But the altcoins just absolutely devastated. Binance Coin down 16.3% to 265. Cardano down 20% to $1.06. Cardano on sale. You know, it's interesting though, if we pull up a Cardano chart, let's do that really quickly just so we can make an observation here. This price of $1.06 is a price point. Actually, it's a little bit below. It's a little bit below the price point that Cardano has been sort of, let's go back, let's take this back to 90 days. Cardano, it's not as if, you know, let's do 180 days. It's not as if Cardano hasn't been up and down through these price ranges before. So if you look at a chart, and this isn't the greatest chart because it's just on CoinGecko, but $1.20, if you go back as far back as February, March, April, May, all the way through to the current, Cardano's been in the $1.20 range, up, down, up, down. Of course, it had that boost here in May, reaching the all-time high on May 16th of $2.29, but that was very short-lived, and it started at about $1.40, $1.28 at the low, just before that boost on May 4th, pumped up to $2, over $2, $2.29 at the high, and then it came back down out of that to $1.33, and it's just been up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So we will see what happens. But if it drops down below that $1 again, who's to say what could happen? Obviously, it could get worse. However, it'll be interesting to watch because, you know, my guess would be that it's actually going to continue to just sort of hover around that price range, and maybe, you know, but it all depends on what happens with this market as a whole. All right, XRP down 16.8% to 52 cents. Dogecoin down 21 cents to 16 cents. Polkadot down 27% to $10.87. Uniswap down 24.7%. All right. What's going on? Well, there is nothing in the news that is significant enough to point to as a cause. However, there is some negative news, and we're going to cover that. BlockFI, and this is not good here. BlockFi is coming under the radar of the New Jersey Attorney General. BlockFi has received a cease and desist order to stop offering interest-bearing accounts from the New Jersey Attorney General. Wow. It's also being accused by them of funding operations partly through the sale of unregistered securities. BlockFi recently partnered with Visa to launch its first crypto rewards asset. So, you know, the interesting thing about this is going to potentially force the issue to be taken to the SEC. Was what they're doing here is they're trying to say that pretty much anything and everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum is potentially securities like Uniswap, Chainlink, etc. According to the Bureau of Securities, BlockFi has also been funding and facilitating its cryptocurrency lending and trading operations at least partly through the sale of what's the motivation here? Not exactly quite sure, other than the fact that this Attorney General likely is not a fan of crypto. It could be about just seeking oversight and control, or it could be that they're receiving pressure from the traditional financial institutions, from the banks, because BlockFi is offering interest rates from between 0.25 and 8.5%, which you just can't get in the traditional banking space anywhere, right? So it's a threat, and it's disruptive, obviously, to the banking system. So that could be a motivation there, of course. It'll be interesting to see what will happen with this, and we will keep you updated on the Morning Brew, of course. Here's some positive news for you, though, potentially. According to Crypto Quant Analytics, the firm says that in a recent tweet that the flagship digital currency Bitcoin is not in a bear market. It's interesting. It's certainly starting to feel like a bear market, isn't it? Down over 50% with this plunge yesterday. It's not feeling very, very good, is it? Which is interesting to think about. Think about the psychology of that. People are really starting to feel fearful. People start really starting to capitulate. What does that mean? That means, as we've mentioned so many times, on this podcast before, when everyone else is fearful, that's the time to be greedy. When everyone is greedy, that's the time to be fearful. And there's evidence that some really large institutional investors and whales and big players are doing that very thing. They're the smart money, just accumulating and buying in this moment. And this is what happens over and over again in the cryptocurrency space. And it's so because it's so well these larger institutions, and I'm going to show you some evidence of that here in just a moment, and big players are buying. But going back to what CryptoQuant has to say, they say that the short-term data, CryptoQuant, the short-term data shows it is not a bear market. The Bitcoin MVRV ratio shows that a bear market has not yet arrived because the Bitcoin price has not plunged as low as it was after the 2017 all-time high of 20,000. And that is interesting. I was wondering about that, wanting to look into that. Well, they've done the research and they're providing it for us. So that's cool. The MVRV shows that the market value ratio, capitalization value of an asset, what it is to its realized capitalization. Data shared by the analytics provider suggests that the current rollback can be used as a good opportunity to accumulate rather than being a bear market for Bitcoin. They said short-term data offers probability of test at support, good exposure opportunity. Moving forward, as I mentioned, large institutions accumulating. Here's one. Rothschild Investment Corp has increased its Bitcoin exposure by 300% since April. Rothschild Investment Corp has bought more Bitcoin and Ether exposure via Grayscale despite ongoing crypto market retreat. Billion-dollar investment firm Rothschild Investment Corp quadrupled its exposure to Bitcoin since April, new record shows. So they have to submit what they're doing to the SEC, and in one of their filings, it was shown that the Rothschild, they now have close to 150,000 shares of Grayscale's Bitcoin trust. Rothschild Investment Corp is also investing in Grayscale's ETH equivalent, the Grayscale Ethereum trust. Its exposure to Bitcoin has increased considerably this year. The filing shows in April its GBT shares totaled 38,343, and now they're up to 150,000. Mega whales that were dormant since 2018 abruptly add $841 million in Bitcoin over the weekend. A collection of Bitcoin whale wallets suddenly scooped up tens of thousands of Bitcoin over the weekend after being inactive since December 2018. According to BitInfoChart's list of the biggest Bitcoin wallets, all addresses ranked 89 through 106, except ranked number 90, accumulated a total of 28,377 Bitcoin, worth $841.85 million on July 17th. See, this is what happens. I would not be at all surprised if a little bit of selling, they can sell whoever it is that controls some of these wallets, and they sell and apply that pressure at just the right time, along with when all the FUD is coming out in the news, drive the market down. They come in and they swoop up and they buy 28,000, $841 million worth. Yellen Fud again, this time screaming about stablecoins. Janet Yellen says that regulators need a response to the fast growth of stablecoins. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen met with the President's Working Group on Financial Markets to discuss the risks created by the burgeoning stablecoin market. Yellen urged regulators to act quickly to deal with stablecoins. Regulators discussed the risks stablecoins pose to the country's financial system and national security. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen held a meeting with President Working Group of Financial Markets to discuss stablecoins. Janet Yellen says that... I hate it when articles say the same thing over and over and over again. U.S. Treasury Secretary held a meeting with members of the President's Working Group on Financial Markets and several heads of U.S. financial institutions to discuss the risk created by the burgeoning stablecoin. Wait a second. Heads of U.S. financial institutions? Are we talking private institutions? Apparently. According to a press release following the meeting, while regulators consider the potential use case of stablecoins in payments, they also scrutinize the risks they pose to both the country's financial system and its national security. Yellen was joined by Gary Gensler, Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Michael Hsu, Acting Comptroller of the Currency, Rostin Benham, Acting Chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and Jerome Powell, Chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, among others. Stablecoins, if you're not aware, are privately issued cryptocurrencies that are pegged one-to-one to another asset. They require the issuer to maintain the reserves backing them, and most of them are pegged to the US dollar. Various cryptocurrency and financial firms have issued stablecoins that represent a global market value of $110 billion. Some of the most used stablecoins include Tether, USD Coin, True USD, Gemini USD, and Binance USD. Stablecoins have grown by a factor of 10 in the last year. The rapid growth has sparked fears among regulators worldwide, who argue that regulation is needed to ensure stablecoins do not become a source of financial instability. Yeah. God forbid someone else engage in what they're engaged in. Creating money ex nihilo out of nothing. Which is a possibility with stablecoins. There are legitimate concerns. Because without transparency, without clear transparency, who's to know that that stablecoin is actually backed one-to-one as is stated? But the market can handle that. The market can demand from Tether. The market can demand from USD or Gemini or whomever. Third-party audits can show whether that stablecoin is actually being properly backed or not. I'll wrap things up today with this data concerning the housing market. It has to do with building permits. Amid a slew of weak housing sales data, weak mortgage applications, crashing home buyer sentiment, and 11-month low home builder sentiment, analysts still expected both housing starts and permits to rise in June. They were half right. After a small downward revision in May, housing starts soared 6.3% in June, massively beating expectations of 1.2%, but building permits, which are forward-looking, of course, saw a third straight month of declines, plunging 5.1%. Far worse than the 0.7% expected. This pushed the permits SAAR below starts for the first time since January 2020 and to its weakest since October 2020. Permits were far more ugly, with single-family permits down 6.3%. It's not a pretty picture for the future. Exorbitant material costs, combined with shortages of land and labor, have thwarted developers seeking to ramp up construction. Supply concerns and a slowdown in sales pushed builder confidence down to an 11-month low in July. A survey from the National Association of Home Builders showed Monday. An inventory crunch that followed solid demand last year has sent prices soaring, tempering buyer interest. A record 71% of consumers said higher prices were a reason why buying conditions have soared. All right, we'll wrap things up with that today, folks. I hope we have a phenomenal day. Remember, it's always a great day to earn and to buy some crypto, and this might be an even greater opportunity currently with this current downtrend. Of course, if one wants to exercise a little bit more caution, it might behoove them to wait. Alright, let's talk to you tomorrow. Hope you have a phenomenal day. See you soon. Appreciate y'all. Bye now.